May I have the last word for graduates? In your journey after this graduation, go forth into the world and apply yourself in all that you do with unwavering valor in order to make a name for yourself, your family, and for Maseno. Depict Maseno in the best light so that others may join and gain skills and qualifications that you have benefited from. Finally, may I wish you all good health and keep safe during this period of COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you.
May I now invite the PS, State Department of University Education and Research, to address the congregation. Ambassador Simon Nabukwesi.
Cabinet Secretary and Chief Guest today, Professor George Magoha, EGH, the Chancellor, Maseno University, Professor Abdullah Naji Said, the Chair of the Council and members of the Maseno University Council, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Nyabudi, other Vice Chancellors from other universities, principals from university colleges, DVCs, members of the University Management Board, members of the Maseno University Senate, the university staff, graduates, families and friends, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to accompany my Cabinet Secretary to be here today to celebrate the 20th graduation ceremony of Maseno University. This occasion is a source of joy and hope for all of us, but more particularly for the graduates, their families, their friends, and our government. Ladies and gentlemen, we strongly believe in the crucial role that university education plays in the scientific, technical, cultural, and economic development of our nation. Maseno University has produced over 30,000 graduates into the labor market since its inception as a full-fledged university, as expected by stakeholders. I wish to thank the university leadership for their efforts to engage in partnerships with other partners from the region and from other parts of the world. This, coupled with good leadership, prudent financial management, and good planning, has enabled this university to make very important strides ahead. And I want to take this opportunity to applaud the Vice Chancellor and management, together with the Council, for the good leadership in the right direction. Ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 pandemic has necessitated the use of information, communication, and technology through online programs for teaching and learning to enable students to access university education so that they graduate in time. Maseno University has established e-learning programs embracing the use of technology in all their operations in the effort to fully automate all its functions and services, including academic records. I want to commend the university for this because it's a step in the right direction, and this is what I want to encourage all other universities to do. Finally, I wish to congratulate the graduates for their hard work, which enabled them to successfully complete their programs. I want to urge all of you to be firm and positive in whatever you will do for the benefit of Kenyans, for the benefit of your community, for the benefit of your family, and for the benefit of humanity. I have no doubt that you will join other Kenyans in the momentous task of nation building, where you are expected to serve other humans the way you will serve God Himself. Always remember that anything that is of value does not come easily. There is need for courage, there is need for persistent effort, there is need for determination, and there is need to operate within the laws of the land. By this, I want to encourage that we remember that laws and regulations give meaning to life and provide for harmonious relationship between us. So remember to adhere to the rules and regulations whenever you go. I want to encourage that you remember to support the national values and to take care of yourselves. Because there are many people who don't take care of themselves and they end up being a problem to themselves, to their families, and even a waste of investment. I want to encourage you to practice knowledge so that you increase it. We all know that when we don't practice knowledge, we lose it, and that will not have helped us. As I wind up, I want to take this opportunity to invite the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Education, Professor George Magoha, to address this congregation. As he comes, I want to stress this, that when you listen to the Cabinet Secretary with an open mind, you will benefit a lot from his wisdom. He puts it very clearly the way he feels it. He's very objective, he means well, he wishes to encourage, to inspire, and to challenge us to be better as we deal with matters education. Please let us welcome the Cabinet Secretary to address the congregation. Welcome, sir.
Principal Secretary, State Department of University Education, Ambassador Simon Nabukwesi, Acting Maseno University Chancellor, Professor Abdullah Naji Said, Chancellors of Sister Universities, Governor, County Government of Kisumu, Acting Chairman, Maseno University Council, Members of Parliament and County Assembly members here present, members of Maseno University Council, members of Tom Mboya University College, members of Sister University Councils, Vice Chancellor Maseno University, Professor Nyabundi, Principal Tom Mboya University College, other Vice Chancellors of Sister Universities. I've seen the Vice Chancellor of Kibabii University here, Deputy Vice Chancellors of Maseno University, members of University Management, graduates, parents, guardians, families, friends, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to join you this morning for this important occasion of the 20th graduation ceremony of Maseno University. Ordinarily, this congregation will be attended by thousands of Kenyans, but to adhere to the government policies in order to conform with the COVID protocols, only a few of us are assembled here today. I would like to urge this university to continue with the very strict measures that we put together. As the Vice Chancellor said, I was here several times to ensure that this university was complying with COVID-19 protocols. But I want to start from a perspective. Allow me to veer off just for a minute because the university system in Kenya, as we speak, is actually at crossroads. If I start with the faculty, I was appointed 2 years ago. And what I'm going to say again, I have said before. The person who makes a university is the university professor. The professor defines the university. So the first thing the university must do is to ensure that their professors are actually professors. A professor who has not published any papers that are being quoted by others, that is questionable. A professor that has not attracted any funds, any research funds at all from anywhere, always waiting for government to provide funds, that one also is a questionable professor. So if you have a research professor in your university, I am seeing as we move forward that more and more of my colleagues are retiring them when they reach 70. That could be the biggest mistake that you will do to a university. So the professor defines the university. The second one is the faculty, the quality of faculty in the university, which means you have to ask yourself, Professor Nyabundi, as you are doing an excellent job here, who dictates your university? Is it the academic staff or other supporting staff? If you are other supporting staff, it should not even exist. So we start from the point of view of ensuring that the numbers of academic staff are more than the non-academic staff. This is not a negotiable issue. It is not a negotiable instrument. And your academic staff must be selected because of meritocracy alone. Other things follow. If you populate a university with your tribesmen, then that is a village university. It cannot be a university. So you get, even if you don't like the person, but he's the best person, you will take him. So I'm going to ask you in public, and all the same thing goes to other universities. When you consider the ratio of your full professors to the non-academic staff, how does it look? Are you intelligent enough to keep your professors on your payroll if they are still productive? Or are you one who will think because you want to right size, you start with killing the chicken? That is a tragedy of the greatest proportion. And this sometimes is happening because the councils do not understand what a university is. So if you start with a council that does not understand what a university is, well, what advice do you expect them to give you? Secondly, what is the ratio of your academic staff to non-academic staff? The minimum acceptable is 70-30. And I'm saying this, now this is my third year. I didn't know I would survive up to third year, but here I am by the grace of God. Now, where is Maseno? A university is not an employment agency for the local area, where you find that 70% of the staff are non-academic staff, and whatever is going to define your university is not there, is 30%. And I'm not addressing Maseno, I'm addressing all the universities together. So be bold enough to right-size your universities. Do not wait for the likes of IMF to come and do it for you. For those who do not remember, I was the very first vice-chancellor to be appointed competitively in this country and given very strict performance targets. And by the grace of God, we were able to right-size the university. We were able to right-size the university without having anybody make noise. Can we engage and right-size the universities? My second point is on research funds. The good government of the Republic of Kenya, headed by His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, has provided reasonably adequate funds for research. But if Maseno must get out of the bubble, I have not heard the Vice Chancellor saying he has trained a crack team of 100 researchers whose job is to write proposals to compete for research funds which are over there, all over the world, Bwana Vice Chancellor. Spend some money. The government is allowing you to spend some money to train some of your top researchers on proposal writing. And go and get the money. It is out there. It's out there. And this also goes to all the other universities. Because this worked at the university when I was there. We moved the research funds from 350 million to 4.5 billion a year when I was there. There was no magic. The eggs you have are the academic staff. If you have good academic staff, students will follow them. You should be bold enough to protect your senior academic staff. That is not to say that if you have become unproductive, even before you retire, you can be retired because you are not productive enough. That's the way it goes. And that also happened at the University of Nairobi when I was there. We retired professors who were not productive, and we kept some. I was telling the Vice Chancellor this morning that when we went to train in Harvard about 2 years ago, the most efficient professor there was 87 years old. He was 87 years. So what is this nonsense of saying, oh, after 70, you become Professor Emeritus, you have no salary, and then you are expected to continue to attract money to come to the university? So I thought this point has to be made very clear to my colleagues in the university system. The issue of government capitation. I'm pausing because it is a very interesting thing. If you have 2 children, you produce 2 children, then your neighbor produces 20, and you are both earning a salary of 100,000. Whose children will be better? One has 2 children, one has 20 children. So we are actually crying foul when we have created the mess ourselves. It is time to right size even the number of universities. Ask yourself, why is everybody saying the universities are able to pay tax? What did you expect? They will not be able to pay tax. Can we stop and think about university governance in this country? Because we cannot allow politicians to produce university for political purposes. Unfortunately, we as men of letters, men and women of letters, Professor Nyabundi included, have failed to stand up to the test. Do our universities have adequate faculty? It is becoming more of the same, and it has to stop. Does Maseno want to become more of the same? I have seen some movement in the right direction here. I have seen some movement in the right direction, because when I came here and I saw some developments down there, I said, well, perhaps we are starting to see value for government money. Because we all know what happens in this country. You can say we want more money, but I think we should, as a government, we want to see what you have done with the money that you are given before. Buildings don't run away, isn't it? And the government has said, through the direction of His Excellency the President, that any government project that is 85% complete must be completed. And I'm telling my peers here without blinking that we must make sure, for example, that what we are going to open today, which is not complete, must be completed. Let us complete it so that when the president leaves, he can also leave it as a legacy that at Maseno, this is what I did. Of course, the chair of council is saying they will come and ask for more. COVID-19 is here to stay. It's here to stay. So it will be unreasonable for you to ask for more to start projects when we have already said as a government that there will be no new projects for the time being. Let us be fair and reasonable to ourselves. In terms of the medical school that my friend Professor Nyabundi has mentioned, conflict of interest, I come from this area, yes. But when I was the chair of the Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board of Kenya, that did not matter. And it must not matter. Indeed, we were going to shut down the medical school here. Because we are not going to bend the rules because this university is nearer my home than any other one. And fortunately, the advice was taken positively, and Maseno University is now graduating excellent doctors. Of course, they poached some of our very good scholars. Is Professor Gendo here? They poached some of our very good scholars, like Professor Gendo, who was then the chair of surgery. And I said, okay, that is still Kenya. If you want to go there, you can go. But again, it can be measured. So I want to thank the council of the university for ensuring that the Maseno University management spends money for what it is meant for. And in the same breath, ask them to be patient with the government as we deal with COVID-19 pandemic issues. Maseno University, it has been reassuring that Maseno University has been able to steer through this new normal by applying online and blended learning and examinations. I sincerely congratulate the university fraternity for this. I want to recognize the noble role played by the university management, faculty, parents in the course of the graduates' endeavor to earn their qualifications. And allow me just to say something about the qualifications. We must walk backwards to the river. We are putting so much premium on the certification. We are putting so much premium on the certification. And my charge to the University Council here is to ask, what is the value of the certificate of Maseno University? And the value is measured by the skills that you have been able to impart on the students when they are here. And since I'm a practicing physician, except for now, I think looking at the doctors, I think they have been unskilled reasonably well. I can't speak for the others. The challenge, as His Excellency the President says now, is that universities should produce people who are going to employ themselves and to employ others. So I want to urge the graduates to go into the world to be fully engaged in search of solutions that will help us to live better as a country. I say this with full awareness that the training skills that you have acquired here are up to the best standards. And the best example is, I know perhaps you don't give agriculture, but if you have trained students in agriculture, you give somebody a Bachelor of Science in Agriculture or Horticulture or what have you, and then the student goes to wait for a job for 10 years. Then, Professor Nyabundi, you have failed. Are we together here? For those of us who have been to Israel, we are in heaven in Western Kenya here. We're actually in heaven, most of the country apart from the northern part. So if you have the wherewithal in your brain. Why are you waiting for an office where you will put on a tie? Why don't you apply what you are trained to do to create your own livelihood and livelihood for somebody else? I think that is the challenge. So the ivory tower mentality at the universities must really come down. The Big Four agenda, as you are aware, is one of the legacy issues with His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta, which include agriculture and food security, universal health care, affordable housing, and industrialization. Everybody in Kenya must eat, at the very worst once a day, at the very best 3 times a day. Why are we not having more students coming to do agriculture? Why? When a Vice Chancellor, you have a very big challenge. In order for this university to exist into the tomorrow's years, we really must give courses that will have a ready market. I note that Maseno University has recently achieved phenomenal growth, which I have stated. But this is not to say that you lower your guard, Bwana Vice Chancellor. Should the university be judged by the number of students the university has? I have not said so, even though the VC is very happy that he's getting more students, which means maybe his faculty is getting better. Because students choosing to come to a university on their own is as a result of how fine your faculty is. But don't go to sleep very soundly that you have very many students. You will have to decide at one stage, Professor Nyabundi, that for Maseno University, which faculties do you want to retain? How many students do you want to have? Because even the Harvards of this world, if I was to tell you the numbers of students they have, you will actually be shocked. So the numbers are good, but they must be related to the faculty. Like in medicine, we have insisted that the ratios must be correct. And the dean of Professor Ogendo, the ratios are correct now. So you can't take more medical students than you can teach. That's what brings the quality of the university to what you want. As a ministry, we are committed to doing all that can provide a resource base to allow all universities to achieve their mandate. And I want to single Maseno University here for praise, because as other universities are grumbling with the tax issues, Professor Nyabundi, you have done well to tell me this morning that you have no pending tax issues. You remit the taxes of your staff to the exchequer. That is what must be done, so that you must learn. You must learn to live within your means. As far as pension schemes are concerned, I would want those universities that still have issues with their pension schemes to downsize their contribution so that they are able to manage the debt, even if it is for a temporary period of time. COVID-19 is here. Many people have become jobless. Our tax base has reduced. As you argue and even come for the money from the government, remember that you cannot spend what is not there. Because what I'm saying is it looks like just more of the same. It would be unwise for a government institution to start something from the scratch. None other than His Excellency the President has directed that there should be no new projects for now, unless and until he himself, under his signature, allows that to happen. So, when an acting chairman of council, you should be aware that you don't waste your good time helping Nyabundi to run the university. Don't waste your good time coming to look for money which will not come. So for now, I think you should complete what you are doing Don't look for more projects until COVID goes away, and it will take a bit of time. We want to continue witnessing improvement in facilities, and I would also like to mention Dedan Kimathi University of Science and Technology, which is also led by another excellent Vice Chancellor, Professor Kioni. I'm mentioning that because in terms of right sizing must start from the top in terms of management. I led the University of Nairobi for 5 years with 2 deputy vice chancellors. And as I was battling the students' menace, we decided, now when we look back, perhaps it was erroneous, that we required a DVC whose job was just to deal with students. Because I was spending 50% of my time dealing with students. The students are now better. With technology, they are now better. Do we still need a DVC student affairs? My opinion is we don't. So if you have a DVC student affairs, you can put it under DVC academic. And you would have right-sized one whole DVC plus the staff that are going with it. Administration and finance. If you can't pay taxes, why don't you want one deputy vice chancellor to take charge of administration and finance? Does it make sense, ladies and gentlemen? I am mentioning this because it will be a shame if the IMF makes this demand and it is done because of IMF, yet your own son has been talking about it for more than 2 years. So I know you are not happy the way I'm talking, but these are the facts.